My ex-best friend took credit for my novel for 3 years. Last night, she accepted a major literary award in front of me. I spent 5 years writing my novel between night shifts as an ER nurse. It was deeply personal, inspired by my grandmother's escape from Soviet Hungary. When I finally finished, I gave the only printed manuscript to my best friend Jen, a literary agent's assistant, to read. 3 weeks later, she claimed that she lost it during her move and was devastated. I was crushed, but still had my digital copy. Life got busy and I shelved the project. 2 years later, I was scrolling through Interacom when I saw a familiar book cover. My stomach dropped. It was my story, the exact plot, characters, even the grandmother's unusual name, published under Jen's name. It had glowing reviews calling it an astonishing debut with authentic historical details that only someone with personal connection could know. I couldn't breathe. Jen had been posting for months about her book tour, interviews, and foreign rights sales. When I confronted her, she blocked me everywhere, and her publisher sent a cease and desist letter claiming I was harassing their talented author. Without the original manuscript, I had no proof. My digital tertians were meaningless against her published book. Friends advised me to move on. It would be my word against a rising literary star with a powerful publisher. I almost gave up until I remembered something critical. The original manuscript had a coffee stain on page 187 where I'd spilled my drink during an overnight shift. I'd circled the stain and written night shift casualty in the margin. I ordered a first edition of her book and carefully checked page 187. The text described my grandmother's wedding ring being sewn into the hem of her dress, exactly as I'd written it, but there was no stain. I hired an attorney who subpoenaed Jen's submission materials from the publisher. Their legal team fought it until my lawyer mentioned page 187. Specifically 2 days later, they requested a private meeting. Turns out Jen had submitted my original manuscript coffee stain in August her own work. The publisher had scanned it for their files before typesetting, capturing my handwritten note perfectly. They settled quietly, terrified of the publicity nightmare. Last night was a National Book Stall where her novel was nominated. I used my settlement money to buy a ticket to the ceremony. Jen didn't know I'd be there. When they announced her name for Best Debut Novel, I watched her walk to the stage, clutching my grandmother's story to her chest as she began her speech about writing what you know. As we stood up in the audience, silent, and held up my original manuscript with its coffee-stained page 187. Her eyes found mine, and for one perfect moment, her face collapsed in recognition before the cameras caught it. I'd like to thank my grandmother whose story inspired this novel. I called out, my voice steady, and page 187, where I stole my coffee during an ER night shift. The room went completely silent as the host asked who I was. I introduced myself as the actual author as security approached, but before they reached me, the publisher's representative was already on stage whispering urgently to the host. The book is being reissued under my name next month. The award sits on my desk, not hers. Some people steal your words, others steal your story, but they can never steal the truth behind them.